When you spend enough time reviewing brokers, something curious happens. You stop looking at them as faceless institutions and start sensing their rhythm, their personality, their way of breathing through the market. Numbers, spreads, liquidity, they matter of course, but there's something deeper behind a company's tone, the way it treats people, the atmosphere it creates for traders. That's exactly the kind of discovery I made when I first encountered EGS Capital. I remember opening their website one evening, with the same slightly jaded curiosity that comes after testing dozens of platforms. Usually it takes me a few minutes to understand whether a broker feels genuine or just another glossy name built around marketing cliches. But with EGS Capital, the first impression wasn't about flashiness, it was about calm, understated confidence. Everything felt deliberate, well-structured, as if the people behind it had decided that clarity was better than noise. I didn't start trading right away. I prefer to take my time, observe, explore, test how responsive a broker's system is before committing even a small amount. So I spent my first day simply navigating the platform, clicking through charts, reading about their instruments, and checking what traders were saying. The tone of most discussions around EGS Capital was interesting. Some were cautious, others impressed, but what struck me was how few of them felt fake. It's rare these days to find genuine voices online when it comes to brokers, and that alone earned my attention. The registration process was unexpectedly smooth. I've seen plenty of setups where you have to jump through unnecessary hoops, upload the same document 3 times, or wait days for verification. EGS Capital handled everything with quiet efficiency. There was no rush, no confusion, just a steady sense of progress. I know this may sound trivial, but when a company respects your time from the very beginning, it sets the tone for the whole relationship. Then came the real test, the actual trading experience. This is where so many brokers stumble. Delays, rejections, hidden commissions, they all chip away at trust. With EGS Capital, the execution was clean. Orders went through without hesitation, spreads were reasonable, and nothing felt manipulated. The more I traded, the more I appreciated that reliability. In a world of flashing screens and unpredictable markets, it's that sense of control that keeps you grounded. One of the moments that stood out for me was when I contacted customer support, not because I had a problem but because I was curious. I wanted to see how the team handled direct communication. It wasn't a robotic exchange. I didn't receive a pre-written script or a mechanical "we'll get back to you." Instead, I got a thoughtful human response. The person I spoke to didn't try to upsell me or steer me toward larger deposits. They simply listened, answered, and followed up later to ensure my question had been fully resolved. I appreciated that more than they probably realized. The more time I spent with EGS Capital, the more I began to understand its appeal. It doesn't try to dazzle you with exaggerated promises of overnight profit. Instead, it presents a stable environment, professional, transparent, and mature. The kind of place where experienced traders can focus on their strategy rather than worry about what's happening behind the scenes. That stability is something you can't fake. It either exists or it doesn't, and in this case, it clearly does. Of course, no broker is perfect. I've learned over the years that perfection doesn't exist in finance. There are moments when response times could be faster or when you wish for a few more advanced features. But in the bigger picture, these are small details. The foundation, trust, clarity, dependability, is where EGS Capital shines. And in this business, a solid foundation is everything. I also liked how transparent the company is about its regulation and license. There's no mystery about where they operate or how they're structured. It's refreshing because so many firms hide behind vague legal jargon. Here, everything is accessible and easy to verify. That openness makes you feel like you're dealing with professionals who understand the value of credibility. After several months of observing and trading, I started to see EGS Capital not just as another broker but as a reflection of how the industry should evolve, toward responsibility and simplicity. There's a quiet confidence in how they do things, a sense that they're not chasing every trend, but focusing instead on doing the basics well. That's rare, and it's something I've come to respect deeply. There's also something about the tone of communication that stands out. It's professional but not cold. When you interact with the platform or the team, you feel that they've thought about the trader's experience. Every feature, every element of the interface seems to have been designed to make trading intuitive. I never once felt lost even when switching between markets or testing different instruments. That's a subtle kind of user experience design, one that doesn't shout for attention but quietly supports you at every step. When I write about brokers, I often think of trading as a relationship. You start cautiously, observing how the other side behaves. You look for consistency, for reliability. Then, over time, if trust builds naturally, you allow yourself to relax, to commit. With EGS Capital, that relationship evolved exactly that way, gradually, authentically, without any forced enthusiasm. I didn't wake up one morning thinking, this is my broker forever. It was more like realizing over many small interactions that this was a partnership I could rely on. Some people might look at my review and think I'm being too soft, but I don't believe in judging a company solely by isolated flaws. What matters is the pattern. And the pattern with EGS Capital is one of professionalism and balance. The longer you stay, the more you notice that it's not about flashy campaigns or bonuses, it's about keeping promises. In an industry that often struggles with that, it's no small thing. I've also noticed how the broker has managed to maintain consistency even during turbulent market periods. Where others panic, slow down, or start changing terms, EGS Capital has remained stable. That calmness gives traders space to breathe. You can't underestimate how important that is. It's the difference between trading with constant tension and trading with focus. So, if you ask me what makes EGS Capital stand out, it's not one specific feature, it's the overall integrity of the experience. Everything feels cohesive, as if the company knows exactly what kind of trader it wants to support. That self-awareness is rare in this industry. Today, when I look back at my early notes, I can see the evolution of my own attitude toward the broker. What began as cautious curiosity turned into genuine respect. I don't use that word lightly, but it fits here. EGS Capital doesn't demand admiration, it earns it quietly, through reliability, through the small but meaningful details that define a company's character. In the end, that's what makes me keep writing about brokers like this one. Because somewhere between hype and skepticism, there are still companies that simply do their job and do it well. EGS Capital is one of them. Not perfect, not loud, but real. And in the unpredictable world of Forex, that authenticity might just be the most valuable quality of all.